Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef, and I am so excited to have a financial therapist with me here today. Erika Wasserman is going to share a little bit about what she does. So I'm so excited. Erika, just take it away.
Thanks so much for having me. It's so fun to let people know about financial therapy. It's such a new field, and most people look at me, and probably your listeners are like, "What? Did she say financial therapist?" Right?
I like the sound of it, and I want to know more.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what it is let's learn more. Let's explore more on the topic of money, because we don't talk about money in an exploratory way. Often we talk about money in, let me think of them things, maybe constricting views, or, constraint, or anxiety, or proud because you did well. But money is really emotional. In fact, they did a Harvard study where 90% of our financial decisions are emotional and 10% are logical. So if you're thinking about owning your own business, how much of your financial decisions are emotional? From setting your own price to how much you're going to spend on marketing, or are you going to spend on marketing? All of those are generally emotional decisions, and the logical piece plays that small role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that's
it's
where
really
I come in. I'm a certified financial therapist, which means I have a degree in finance from University of Florida. I spent over a decade working at IBM, and had the opportunity to live up to the acronym I've been moved 9 times with IBM, including 2 years in Japan, a year in China. In that time frame, I got married, I had 3 small children, and left corporate America and my marriage with 3 babies under the age of 4. So roller coaster of life, reinvented myself, and several years later when my dad passed away, he was my financial accountability partner. He was one I talked to, he was one I bounced ideas off of, and so did my mom. And without knowing it, my mom became my first client. So when I heard the term financial therapist and that it was an actual field, I signed up and went to Kansas State and got a graduate certificate in financial therapy, and then joined the Financial Therapy Association. Again, 10 years ago, didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm proud to say I'm one of 100 that are certified in this needed and growing field.
That's awesome. That is. Without naming names, of course, but share a good client story where we really did something and turned it around, or however that worked out.
I'm so funny because I know that you mostly are business minded clients, and I have stories there. One is a love story that keeps coming to mind. It keeps wanting to be shared. So,
Good.
and this could be applied to business partners as well. So I want you to think about it from this lens. I worked with a client probably about a year ago. They came to me. It was going to be a second marriage. So they both had different mindsets around money, because we all have unique mindsets around money. In fact, it comes from 3 major areas. One is our background, how money was talked about in your home, not talked about in your home. Then you have religion and culture. And the last piece, which is money is greed, handle finances. You are your parents' retirement plan, all the way through experiences, giggling on that one, right? Experiences, which is we'll go back to marketing. I invest in marketing for my business. It didn't work. Guess what? You're not going to try it again as quickly, not based on the logical piece, might be a new platform, it might be a new audience, but because of your emotional piece.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take these 2 lovebirds. They're falling in love. They want to move in together into her home. And he's like, I'll pay for the new additions that we're going to do, and all of these financial conversations. And she wasn't ready to have them. And what we explored was her first marriage. It was a parent-child relationship, which meant they lived paycheck to paycheck. It meant that anything she did, he did the opposite of. And so she had financial trauma in trusting anybody with money. His relationship with his first wife was equal. Same goals, same spending patterns, they could trust each other, and they really built a nice relationship. So for them merging money, he didn't understand why he kept getting met with resistance. And so we spent a lot of time understanding that she wasn't resisting him. He was a new person. She was resisting from her experience of trusting somebody new. And how do you merge this money with different mindsets? And within the 3 sessions we worked together on, they ended up getting engaged. So super success story. When you ask me about success story, that's it. Because they understood that he needed to be a little bit more patient with her, and she understood that he was a new person, that that had a different mindset and a different trust level. And so you could apply that into your personal life as you meet new people or an old person in your life, a spouse, or a business partner, because everybody's coming to the table with a different mindset around money. And until we start talking about where did that come from, you're just going to keep talking at each other and not understanding one another.
Yeah. Getting more and more frustrated and thinking it's you. And yeah, I don't know how many times I've been in a multi-partner firm, law firm, and I can only describe it as sort of a mediation at some point. Everyone's got great valid ideas, but they're all going different directions and working hard to get, like you said, like marketing. Oh, we should invest more on marketing and we should brand. And then another partner was like, oh, no, we tried that. We lost money or whatever. And then the other one's like, oh, we should just go, it's just different ideas based on different experiences and then the reactions to the experiences.
Right. Without talking about what the end goal is.
Yeah.
Right. So if the
Or
end
at
goal
all.
is to get new clients in the $5 million range, like whatever, right, is the niche that you're going after, and coming up from a holistic perspective instead of your personal relationship. And that goes with new hires as well. When do you hire for a firm or for a business? Some people are too quick and get themselves into financial trouble. Others, their business would grow a lot faster if they were able to hire. But we're not talking about it. How do you know when to do that? Who do you go to have these conversations? And that's the work that you do and that I do to help people understand how to grow their business, because you can't be one person on your own. There is a reason that successful companies have boards, because you need different people to help you grow personally and professionally. I have a board of directors personally as well that I go to. The guy who I'm going to go to for my car advice is going to be different than the guy that I go to for my medical advice, right? And so I have a board of directors that I use personally and professionally to help me because of those three things that I mentioned before. I'm only seeing it from one view.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It's true. We have multiple professionals that we work with in our personal life, the doctor, the mechanic, and then of course in our business lives as well. So why do we think, that we can figure it out all on our own when we start a business?
Because that's what we think society is telling us, right? Entrepreneur, soulpreneur, social media showing everybody doing everything. And by the way, we're not taught, especially most of my clients, by the way, are type A, high executives in their business and their profession, because they're really good at what they were doing. But they were never taught finances. They were never taught that it's okay to ask questions around money, because you're looked at as not the know-it-all in the room. That's not what I mean, but the expert in most rooms that you walk into, to be vulnerable to say, I don't know what I'm doing here. Or, I come from a background where spending money on vacations or clothes doesn't feel right to me. And I have sleepless nights over it, but I'm married to a spouse that wants to go on these really nice vacations and I can't relax because it goes against my mindset. And instead of enjoying those moments and building special time together, what ends up happening is resentment builds.
There's no way to communicate because you don't even have the language to communicate.
Exactly. Which is why I'm coming out with a book in the fall. It's on pre-order right now, called Conversations with Your Financial Therapist. And it's stories and scripts to grow your mindset. And that's exactly what it is. It takes 7 characters through different life events, including HR, including aging parents, and all of these things in between, like co-parenting with a back to school shopping, right? How do you have those conversations? And the scripts in the back and a framework to walk you through it. Because I want to give people tools to have healthier conversations around money.
I love that. A book is great. Are you going to do a course or do you do speaking events as well?
So I do a lot of speaking events. I do workshops, so I can come into your business and do workshops around empowering your leaders, how to understand the relationship with money better, but also how to speak to their employees around the topic of money, which is so sensitive right now. And so, yeah, I do all of that, workshops, keynotes, and then the book will come with a study guide that has CE hours right now for financial advisors, and there's one for consumers. If there's another industry that's interested, I can look into getting CE hours for that as well.
Well, how do people find you when they want to learn more?
Yes. The easiest way is pop over to the website, yourfinancialtherapist.com, or on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm Erika Wasserman, and I am your financial therapist.
Thank you so much, Erika. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Success Partner Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Daya Naef. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned.